Right now on DC Today, the breaking news: the world mourning the passing of a military leader, the first black Secretary of State, and a national security visionary. General Colin Powell has died. It happened earlier this morning, and we begin with that breaking news. Good morning and welcome to DC Today. I'm Del Walters in Washington. America woke this morning to learn that Colin Powell had died from complications of COVID. Who was Colin Powell? He was the man who inspired the title of a book I wrote on Africa. The book, oddly enough, was entitled The Pottery Barn Rules. It was inspired by Powell's quote when advising the country on Iraq, saying that when you go into a country of 25 million people, like the Pottery Barn, if you break it, you own it. He said, their lives, their dreams, their futures. America heeded his advice then in the first Gulf War, stopping short of Baghdad, but it ignored it going forward. And what emerged was a world that showed us ISIS, the 20-year endless war in Afghanistan, and other conflicts all around the globe. It is often said that a soldier without a war is a man without history. Colin Powell was just the opposite, a man strong enough to admit that war should always be the last way of solving a conflict, not the first.
I will never not be a soldier.
Colin Powell, a soldier turned statesman, making history on many fronts. The first African American and youngest chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and later the first African American Secretary of State.
So I've always felt strongly that you should try to solve conflicts in this world through negotiations, through diplomacy. Anytime we can solve a problem that way and not use force and satisfy our objectives, let's push for that.
Powell grew up in the Bronx in New York, his parents immigrating from Jamaica. By his own admission, he was not an outstanding student.
It's been amusing over the years to have people come up to me and say, well, General Powell, you're chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. When did you graduate from West Point? Couldn't have gotten in.
He enrolled in City College of New York. Geology was his major, but ROTC became his passion. Powell flourished as a cadet after graduating and excelled as a soldier. He served 2 tours in Vietnam before earning a prestigious fellowship, working for the Office of Management and Budget during the Nixon years in 1972. Afterwards, Powell returned to his troops, eventually becoming a general, and went back to the White House in 1987 as President Reagan's national security advisor. Then in 1989, the general became the highest-ranking officer in the U.S. military when President George H.W. Bush named him chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Our strategy to go after this army is very, very simple. First, we're going to cut it off, and then we're going to kill it. How long have you been there? You been there the whole time?
Powell became a household name during the first Gulf War. His policy of overwhelming force against Iraq became known as the Powell Doctrine.
I express my sincere thanks to each and every one of you for being here to share my final day in uniform.
After a distinguished 35-year career, Powell retired from the Army in 1993. 10 years later, the United States would become involved in another Gulf War, and Powell again played a key role.
My colleagues, every statement I make today is backed up by sources, solid sources. These are not assertions. What we're giving you are facts and conclusions based on solid intelligence.
Then, Secretary of State Powell made a case in front of the UN Security Council, arguing that Iraq posed a grave threat to the world because, he said, they had weapons of mass destruction. The following month, the U.S. invasion began. The war lasted more than 8 years. No weapons of mass destruction ever turned up.
I regret it now because the information was wrong.
After 4 years as President George W. Bush's Secretary of State, Powell returned to private life. He spent his civilian years empowering youth through his projects, America's Promise Alliance, and the Colin Powell School for Civic and Global Leadership.
We're going to go and educate the kids who are most in need. And when I heard their stories, I said, this is where I belong. I'm home again.
General Colin Powell, a leader and a patriot who devoted a lifetime to service. And keep in mind, this was a man who, at the height of the Obama campaign, the first campaign, broke ranks with his own party, endorsing a then young senator from Illinois, saying this is the man who should lead this country. The tributes are pouring in, the first coming, of course, from former President George W. Bush, who wrote, He was a great public service, starting with his time as a soldier during Vietnam. Many presidents, he says, relied on General Powell's counsel and experience. He was National Security Advisor under President Reagan, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff under my father and President Clinton, Secretary of State during my administration. He was such a favorite of presidents that he earned the Presidential Medal of Freedom twice. He was highly respected at home and abroad, and most important, Colin was a family man and a friend. Laura and I send Alma and their children our sincere condolences as they remember the life of a great man. Also, earlier this morning, we received this tweet from Stacey Abrams. Godspeed to Secretary Colin Powell, who led with integrity, admitted fallibility, and defended democracy. Deepest condolences to his loved ones and friends. Al Sharpton tweeting just moments ago as well. My condolences to the family of Colin Powell. Though we disagreed on many issues, I always respected him and was proud of his achievements. When he ran and when he and I ran into each other and conversed, I always left feeling he was a sincere and committed man to what he believed in. Rest in peace. We also heard just moments ago from the former chairman, or the current defense secretary, by the way. This, of course, is the statement that just came from the DNC, Jamie Harrison. This is hitting me hard. Colin Powell was a statesman who put his country and family above all else. As a young black man, he inspired me and showed me that there are no limits to what we can be or achieve. Sending my prayers to his family. Rest in peace, Secretary. And as I indicated just moments ago, we heard from the Defense Secretary, Lloyd Austin, who came outside and spoke to reporters reacting to news of General Powell's death just moments ago. Take a listen.
The world lost one of the greatest leaders that we have ever witnessed. Alma lost a great husband, and the family lost a tremendous father. And I lost a tremendous personal friend and mentor. He has been my mentor for a number of years. He always made time for me, and I could always go to him with tough issues. He always had great counsel. We will certainly miss him. I feel as if I have a hole in my heart